Welcome to SEO Time Machines. This is a quick start guide to help you going as fast as possible. So the first thing that you need to know is that the Chrome extension does not work on starter pages. In other words, when you first open this and you try to launch it from here, it will not work. In Google Chrome, the page that you start looks like a Google browser window, but it's actually a starter page and no extension has permissions to run on it. So to run the extension, you do need to have a google.com page open before it will actually work. So if at first you launch it and you push the button and it doesn't work, that's why it does not work on starter pages or Chrome extension pages. So if you are inside a page like this, it will also not work. There's nothing wrong with the extension. That's just how extensions work. The next thing that you want to do is go into your Chrome extensions or Brave extensions, find the extension, and just make sure that all of these are turned on. So turn on all of the toggles there, and then set up your keyboard shortcuts. This is how I like to set mine up. So the extension with Control Shift and E, because they're the leftmost buttons, I find them the closest. And you also want to make the toggle quick launch. I make mine Control Shift and spacebar, but that is probably the most important shortcut that you're going to have. So make it something that's easy for you to remember and use. So after you've set up your shortcuts, we're going to set up the API keys. So the API keys, if you launch your Chrome extension and you press S for settings, you are going to know that this pops up here. Now, normally when you do it, if you're searching for anything, you can just type and press spacebar and it will filter it down for you. So when you open the extension, press S, this will open up automatically. So this is the best way to search for anything that you want to toggle on or off. There are 150 tools, so this will be the fastest way for you to do it. But for now, what we want to do is go over to settings and just make sure you have a YouTube API key and a Google Places API key. These are not necessary, but obviously we have some YouTube tools that do some data scraping, so we do need that. We're not using any of these heavily at all, so they would be they're practically free to run, so you don't need to worry about incurring any costs there. If you don't know how to do it, just click these links, follow the instructions, and set those up. The next key that you probably need is under AI tools. You're going to want a open router key, so just put one there. This is for the chat summary. I really like Mercury 2. It's really fast and has a really large context window. So this is a really good one for the chat summarizer, and it'll be practically free. Replicate API is for the image upscaler, so if you don't want to use that, don't worry about it. And OpenAI, this is for entity correlation, which if you're doing SEO, you're going to want to do. So just put that there and make sure that it's on GPT-4 Mini, 4.1 Mini. And the last one is if you go over here to general settings in AI cluster, make sure that the open router provided there is GPT-4 Mini, or you can use OpenAI. It's up to you, but this is the provider or this is the model that works with this prompt. If you change this model, you're going to have to update the prompt because you won't get the results. You can see the video for the cluster settings separately, but that is probably the only thing that you need to do to start with. So there are 6 ways to launch the apps. You've seen the extension pop up. So if we just launch this, there's some ways to launch things here. So with shortcuts like to do tasks, you can see that when I hover over it, there is the shortcut there that becomes obvious above it. So D for tasks, Q for time, etc., etc. So this is kind of the legacy way of doing it. We have the quick launch toolbar, which is the most used shortcut. This will give you access to all 150 tools. So this is probably the thing that you're going to use the most. And all you have to do is type the thing that you're using or that you're searching for. So if you start typing YouTube, all of the YouTube things will come. If you're looking for reviews, you can type review and those tools will become open. You can also launch tools by their initials. So for example, AI chat is obviously 2 words, but if you type the initials A and C in capitals, that will launch the chat immediately. So if you know the tool that you are looking for and you know its initials, that's another quick way to launch it. We do have direct shortcuts. So if you open this and for example, we have a look at the color picker, and obviously you can toggle anything on and off. You don't have to use the tools. Everything is super modular. So if for some reason it's interfering with something else, you can turn it off. Nothing's set in stone. But you can see that each tool or a lot of the tools have their own custom global shortcuts, meaning that when I launch it here, I can then use it directly. I think with color picker in particular, you can use it over the whole your whole desktop. It's not just bound within the browser. But most tools, because this is a Chrome extension, only work within Chrome. This is also a security feature because the browser becomes the sandbox which protects your machine, so that no matter what happens, you know that it's limited to within the browser. It doesn't have access to your website, and we've obviously built it this way so that everything's protected. It's an extra security feature that we offer. So we have direct shortcuts, and we also have extra menus that you see. So you can see here that we have quick launch items, and you can open the sidebar and just push the button. But you can see, especially these ones here, are tools that I use often and that have great value beyond. So I didn't want to hide them so that they were, even a couple of clicks deep. So if you go over here to quick actions, you'll notice that there is an option here to turn these shortcuts on and off. So if this is on, which it's on by default, what that means is that these now become accessible via shortcut keys. So Control Shift and the number is the way that you launch it. So Control Shift and 1 will launch H tags. Control Shift and 2 will launch Quick Edit. Now there are about 20 or 30 tools in here, and you can reorder them. So if you for some reason use a UTM builder often, then you can drag that, and then now that the shortcut for that can become Control Shift and 8 or anything else that you want. So rearranging these will give you different shortcuts. So for power users who use these tools often, you can use the shortcuts as a way to launch it. Another way to launch tools is using the right-click menu. So if we're here and we right-click, you'll notice that a lot of the tools are accessible via the right-click. So if you have a mouse-first workflow and prefer that for some reason, then you can use right-click that way. And we also have a mouse launch feature. So if we type mouse launcher into here, you'll notice that there are shortcuts for using for launching anything just by using a mouse launcher. So I do have a separate video for that, but suffice to say, you can choose which button launches it if you want to hold a modifier key while doing it, and then any kind of action that you do will launch apps. For example, I have it set so that when I go up and down, that launches the X-ray feature, the page structure feature. And so that's convenient for me, and you can set any other app that we have at your disposal to be launchable via the mouse launcher flow. So if you want a mouse first workflow, then you can do that as well. The in situ tools are the tools that are available at all times when you need them. So for example, if you have an image and you right click that image, you can see that the image upscaler becomes available here. If you highlight some text and you press the shortcut, you'll notice that so for example, Shift W in that case, the word counter comes on. If we are in maps, so for example, type map and let's say office cleaning, then you'll notice that by the way, is probably the fastest way to launch Google Maps there as well. You'll notice that the tools that have been activated, such as the GMB data panel and the maps tool, then become available. So these tools are available when you need them. Same thing goes for YouTube. So all the YouTube tools are there. So we've covered all of these. The next thing that you want to do is make sure that Cloudflare is connected. Cloudflare allows us to do cloud backups. So all of the settings that you would normally have to back up manually. So for example, if we wanted to save our the settings, normally you would have to export it to just the desktop as a JSON file, and you can import it via the JSON file. You can still do that if you have some privacy concerns, or you can do it via Cloudflare. Now, I suggest you do Cloudflare because I have automated actions where it backs up all your settings to Cloudflare, and Cloudflare is infrastructure that you own. So I really recommend that to do it. Just type Cloudflare and you'll see this setup guide and just follow the instructions here. I'll do a separate video on this, but suffice to say, once everything is connected, this will only take about 2 minutes to do total. You want to click this connection page and then put in your details there and save. And once it's saved, you're going to see that all of these features now become available. You can do screen recorder sharing, links. You have private drive, which is like a Google Drive alternative. You can back up all your notes from OmniNotes, Music Player, ADHD, and we also have apps that only become available once Cloudflare is connected. So I do have, for example, Ideas, an Ideas inbox, which is a mobile app where you can type or speak notes that will then get synced to your notes. So none of that is possible unless Cloudflare is connected. And it is free, so you might as well do it and you'll get a lot of benefit out of it. And you do own the infrastructure then, so all of your files are saved in your private repository, all of your notes are processed, and it does give you access to things like voice dictation, which again, courtesy of Cloudflare, is free, but it's not possible to do unless it's connected. So once all of that is connected, you might want to familiarize yourself with the site, because on the site, if there is a tool and you want to know how it works, I've made videos. So let's say we want to look at the review scraper, just press the search bar or type Command K, and you'll see this little dialog box pop up. And from here, you can research the tool that you want to know about. Now, you're not going to be using all the tools all the time. So I suggest whatever it is that you're interested in. For example, if you're an SEO, go to the SEO tools page and just have a look at what we've listed. So there's the review mining, there's map circles, and in general, I've grouped all of the tools that belong to a category in the bottom. So you can click and look around the tools. So for example, if you want to know about text transformers, and this will tell you how to use it, what you need to do, etc. So I suggest you just go through the site and have a look at whatever it is that you're interested in. And finally, we do have a changelog page here where I'll be adding a video plus the latest changes. So this is just a little overview. And when you click to read the full article, you're going to see the full extent of everything that changes. We've had probably 2 major updates since this, and I'll be adding those shortly, but that's something that you're going to want to have a look at. And the feature requests board, once you log in, you'll be able to request features, and then they'll be they'll be reviewed, and then we can put them into a roadmap and see what's planned, in progress, and complete. That way we can have the community sort of help with the development or steer it in a way that's useful to everybody. So if you have a look at this thing that I'm using here, this is actually the mouse launcher, and just going back and forth. So you can see everything is fully customizable to how you work, and it's done in a way that's as modular as possible. The last thing is there is a report a bug feature now. I've done a video on how to report bugs, so, but suffice to say, this can be done within the dashboard like this. So just by typing bug, you're going to see that this opens up and gives you the information on how to launch it. One final thing is that the quick launch toolbar itself, if you press the question mark item like that, you'll notice that it has a lot of tools. There's about 30 tools that are available directly within the quick launch toolbar. So if you need a quick calculator, you don't have to go anywhere. If you want to do quick conversions, we have those. There are about 30 tools, as I mentioned, which are super useful, don't require another Chrome extension, can be done directly in here. And I have a whole different video about that, which you'll find in the quick launch toolbar. But suffice to say, everything that can be made as quickly, looked up as quickly as possible, has been done in the quick launch toolbar. So the quick launch toolbar will be your gateway to everything, and it connects everything. So if you have running ideas, you can look at them here. So they will actually get listed with the ideas, or this shortcut here, I dot. If you have anything in your planner, that will show up here. If you want to rearrange your windows, that will show up here. We do have, for example, timers, which you can set directly from here. So this really drives everything. It's what makes SEO Time Machines different. It's what's going to save you a lot of time. So I really hope that you make use of that as much as possible. And we do look forward to as much feedback as possible. So please look at the changelog, subscribe to the YouTube channel for the latest updates, and go to the feature requests website and put in your features so that we can make this better for everyone. Thank you very much. I really hope you enjoy using this, and I look forward to seeing how you will use it in the future.